Hello everybody, I am Tiffany. Thank you for joining me today. As you know, my channel consists of reviews of all sorts, from TV to movies to books, all types of stories that I can just experience and then talk about with you people. I wanted today to do something just a little bit different. I read a lot of books, I watch a lot of movies, and I figured because especially that I read so many books that you would maybe want to know what some of my favorite authors are. So today I am counting down my top 10 favorite authors. For this video because this actually made me look at all of the stuff I've read over the course of my lifetime so far, and that's always super fun to do, to be able to go back and see which authors really made a big impact on me. I only had one criteria, which is that I had to have read more than one book by this author. Reading more than one book can really help you get a sense of style of the author. For me, I did allow it to include more than one book in a series, so there may be a couple authors who have really only read one series by them, but I've read multiple books in that series and I've enjoyed everyone just as much. Enough rambling, let's get to the list. First off, before I get into the main bulk, I do have two quick honorable mentions. The first honorable mention goes to Diana Gabaldon. She is the author of the Outlander series, and I put her as honorable mention because, as I said, my criteria is that I had to have read more than one book by her. I've only read the first book fully in the Outlander series, but I am almost done with the second, and I'm loving the second just as much as the first. But again, I'm not finished with the second one yet, so I can't really include her on my top 10, but I think hopefully by the time I even finish the Outlander series that she'll probably be in my top 10. Now, let's get into the top 10 authors. That was my bad drum roll. Coming in at number 10 may give a couple of you an eye roll, but whatever. Stephenie Meyer. That is right, she is the author of the Twilight series that so many people love and so many people hate. The reason she is on this list, one, I know she does have a couple of other books out. I am curious to read them. And two, I do have a special experience with Twilight overall. It was one of those few times where I was reading a series that my mom was reading, my friends were reading, and it was just this really cool experience to be able to really talk about it with a family member. And no, I'm not saying the movies are fantastic, but I remember being able to go and watch some of those movies in theaters, and that was really cool. Going to Breaking Dawn, I believe, with my mom, going to see Eclipse with my Aunt Carla in New York. It just had a really great family experience overall to me. My mom read the series before me, and then she gave me her books, and they are now kidnapped on my shelf. I'm sorry, I stole them. And looking back on it, I really enjoyed reading her books, and they just were really fun. Coming in at number 9. Coming in at number 9 is George R.R. Martin. George R.R. Martin. You irritate me. George R.R. Martin is the author of the amazing Game of Thrones series. The show was also fantastic until the last season, so I just watched until like season 7. The books are even better. This is one of those series that I did jump on late. I watched the show, wanted to read the books, and decided to go ahead and get them. These were the first books that I ever reviewed on my channel, which is crazy to think about. The only thing about George R.R. Martin is that even though his books are really, really good, and it makes me interested to see if he ever did anything outside of Game of Thrones, is the fact that he takes forever with these books. The 6th book has still not come out yet. This has come out in the meantime. Look at that. Look at that. And the 6th book still isn't out. I, again, have been late on the bandwagon, so the people who have been waiting even longer than me, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to you. I want my 6th and 7th book. I want a better ending than the show gave me, but the books are fantastic, so I suggest you go check them out. Love his writing style. George R.R. Martin, write the 6th book. Coming in at number 8. This author is another fantasy author. He actually did start my love of fantasy. He's a classic author. This author is J.R.R. Tolkien, the author of the Lord of the Rings series. Again, this was one of those situations where I had watched the movies and really liked the movies and decided that I wanted to go and read the books myself, and I'm so happy I did. It is amazing to see all the world building that J.R.R. Tolkien does. It's incredible. If you haven't read Lord of the Rings, I know the language can be kind of difficult and it can drag in some places, but it's such a good story. I love it, and I love all the lore that's created in this. It's this whole mythology basically that he's creating. It's so cool. I have read The Hobbit. The Hobbit is still pretty fun. I liked his writing style in that. I haven't read The Silmarillion, but I do have Beren and Luthien on my shelf, which I hauled recently too, and I do plan on reading that, so I'm very excited for all of that. Coming in at number 7 is Suzanne Collins. Now this one's interesting because she just released a new book in the Hunger Games series. She hasn't released anything since the Hunger Games trilogy, but my goodness was the Hunger Games trilogy absolutely fantastic. I loved that series, and it was so cool to be able to watch the movies come out. Those are some movie adaptations that are on point, let me tell you. They stick to the books. Now she is one of those authors who hasn't released anything since, except for her new prequel that came out a little while ago, but she is one of those authors for me that if she did come out with a new series, I would jump on that. I would totally go for that series and kill it in one go. Not really, I can't read like that, but I would still get through it pretty fast. Getting down to it. Coming in at number 6 is author Cassandra Clare. That is right, she is the author of the Mortal Instruments series, and the Mortal Instruments universe is what I call it, because every book that she's written basically takes place in this universe. They are so good. For Mortal Instruments, you do have to get through the first 2 books, which are City of Bones and City of Ashes. Those are a little bit rougher, but once it hits that book 3, she really goes into her stride, and it's just absolutely amazing. The Clockwork series that goes along with it, so fantastic. If you don't read the Mortal Instruments series, then at least read the Clockwork series. It is so good. And I'm super excited to jump into Lady Midnight and that series. I know I'm still behind, but it's cool because even though I'm behind, all of these books are coming out and I'm just able to binge read them, which is awesome. We are at the halfway point, guys. Yay! We're down to the top 5. Coming in at number 5 is Rick Riordan. He is the author of the Percy Jackson series. I remember being in 4th or 5th grade when this was the absolute amazingness book series that you needed to read pronto. And I fell in love with that series so much. Don't watch the movies, they don't exist. But the book series are so incredible, and it also helps that I had a big love for mythology. It's not 100% accurate, but I do really appreciate that. I think Rick Riordan really gave a love of mythology to a lot of young readers out there. To any reader, really. It makes you curious about the actual myths. He's done other series as well that deal with mythology. The Egyptian mythology series, the Kane Chronicles, was really cool. He recently has one for Norse mythology, Magnus Chase, which I haven't personally read yet. I know I'm behind on my Rick Riordan books, and he was an author I used to be on top of. That was a book I looked forward to every single year, no matter what it was. And that's a big reason why he is on my top 5, is because he was really the first author for me that I truly looked forward to the new books that he would have coming out. I had even read him in 39 Clues. I think I knew him before from 39 Clues instead of Percy Jackson, which is crazy. He really was one of those first authors that I waited for the next book he was going to write. He is definitely an author I'm going to hop back into soon. I miss his writing style so much. I don't know if he's going to continue doing all of this mythology stuff forever, but I would not mind that. Coming in at number 4 is an author that breaks my rules kind of a little bit. I have read more than one book by her. I haven't read anything else besides those 2 books, but the writing style just captivated me so much and made me really want to get any other book that she's writing. And this author is Sarah J. Maas. That's right, the author of the Throne of Glass series. I've only read the first 2 books in the Throne of Glass series, though, as you can see behind me. I have all of them on my shelf. But the reason she does make it so high on my list, even though I haven't read a ton of books by her, is just because she had such an amazing writing style that it just captivated me and I loved reading it. Throne of Glass, one of the best books I had read in a very long time. The second book, even better. I do have book reviews on those, by the way. I can leave a link in the description for you. I'll leave a link in the description for all the different book reviews I have for these different authors, if I have any by them. We are down, ladies and gentlemen, to the top 3. These are the authors that I don't think can really be swayed because they each have special experiences for me. So let's get to it. Coming in at number 3, Alexandra Bracken, the author of the Darkest Mind series, Passenger, another series. She's written a whole bunch of different series at this point now. I don't know if this comes as a surprise to people or not, but I loved The Darkest Minds. This was the series I read right before I started my channel. I had read The Darkest Minds. Nobody else had read The Darkest Minds around me, and I wanted to talk about it so bad, but nobody had read it. It introduced me to the booktube world because it made me search for YouTubers that had talked about this book before and made me want to start my own channel to be able to talk about the stuff that I read and that I watch. Alexandra Bracken and that whole experience with her books were amazing. They're fantastic. That series is absolutely fantastic. I highly suggest you read it. There's also Passenger by her. I've only read the first book in it. It's a duology. It's super good. It's time travel romance. Just she continues to produce really great stuff, and I think that's one thing I like about her too, is that she does have a lot of different series, so it's really cool to be able to see how she creates different worlds. And I met her in person one time to get a book signed by her. That was really cool. Down to the last 2, and both of these authors are very important to me. Coming in at number 2 is Marie Lu. Yes! I love Marie Lu. She's another one of those authors who has a whole bunch of different series out. Legend, which was her debut series, incredible. Young Elites, also incredible. Warcross I haven't read yet, but I have it. Just so many different books, and it's so cool to have an author produce so much content so quickly and so well. She is an author I have a really special connection to. She was the first author that I came across in true debut fashion, which means I had finished a series and Legend had literally just released. No one knew about it yet. Look at this. I have the original cover of Legend. That's right. I picked it up because it was on a shelf that said, if you like this, then you might like this, in Barnes & Noble. And I was like, you know what? I want to try something new. She has truly been an author that I have followed from her debut to now. And that has been super cool to be able to have that experience. I'd never had that before in my life before Marie Lu. I had never had an author that I just saw their debut, loved, and have really been able to watch them grow and turn into an awesome and really big author. That is a really neat experience for me, and I'm super happy that I was able to get that. Go read Marie Lu books. Young Elites is darker than Legend. Legend, I would say, is a little bit better. Original cover, guys. Now for my top favorite author of all time. And this author is Brandon Sanderson! Round of applause for Brandon Sanderson. His series, Mistborn. I love it so much. They were some of the first book reviews I ever did on this channel. I was in the middle of reading them when I decided to move out here to California in order to pursue acting. And that always will hold a spot near and dear to my heart. I loved that series so much. It's right here. You kind of can see it. It's so good. And the memories that I have with it, being on this new adventure and just having that book, it really helped me. It was definitely a scary time for sure, and I had my family to help me out with it, but really being able to have a series that I could just dive into, and when I was nervous or stressed, I could just hop into it and it'd be fantastic. Oh, I just love it. I want to read all of his books. He's absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait to even finish the rest of the Mistborn series that I have on my shelf too. So thank you, Brandon Sanderson, for getting me through my transition out here to California as well. Alright guys, that wraps up my 10 favorite authors, so now you know. Like I said, they are subject to change as I figure out new authors in my life and read more books, but right now those are my solid top 10 authors. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you have any other book, movie, TV recommendations that you would like me to review, leave them in the comments. I will write them down and do a review on them for you. If you want any updates on anything, you can go to my blog, tiffanybooksanmovies.blogspot.com. Just let you know when new videos are out, and also when fun new acting stuff pops up. It's just a lot of fun to update, so go check it out if you get a chance. And you can also leave suggestions there as well if you don't want to leave them in the comments for some reason. Thank you so much for joining me. Have an awesome day, evening, afternoon, wherever time of the day you're watching this, and don't forget to be awesome. Goodbye! Whoa!